Hey everybody, it's Steve and I'm back. It's time to get into the ranked rewards updates. I'm glad I waited until the town hall because I listened to it today and we got a little bit more info to kind of explain why they're doing certain things they said in this post. And it absolutely changes the ecosystem, the economy, and just makes things so much better. It's amazing. I'm so glad I have a lot of SPS and I think you'll be glad that you'll be earning it pretty soon. Okay, let's get into the post and we're going to go really quickly through these updates so we can talk about the new arrangement between DEC and SPS that they drop at the bottom of this post. You might want to skip to that, but let's go ahead and go over the rest of it. So the changes that will be coming out on the 18th, there will be new daily focuses. We don't know how many, 10 to 15 will be coming out, and they will no longer all just be about using one team. This is something a lot of us wanted because it was getting repetitive to get stuck just using the same team and try to use them all day long. That's going to end, except for when you get unlucky and get one of those. The big change that this does do to some bot farms is they're going to need to figure out how to adjust to this. This gives real players an advantage starting the week of the week of the 18th, because let's face it, you see a quest that says use sneak sniper opportunity ability, you'll go ahead and just adjust that to immediately. A bot that needs to now figure out how to use those cards, that's not that hard, but the thing it changes for them is what I showed you in the Splinterlands bot, is that it currently runs with no cards and just rents the cards that it needs to do, say, the life focus. But now if it gets this focus, what cards is it going to rent? Well, you're going to have to do a lot of programming of what you want it to rent for that focus if you want it to go ahead and be able to do it. You'd have to know what teams are good at sneak, snipe, and opportunities. You'd have to rent more than one summoner, so the cost of running that bot and doing really good in that daily focus would be more. But they did give us another caveat that kind of counters this a little bit. The daily focus will no longer be an all or nothing system. They have gone through with the community idea that said basically every win will always give you some focus points towards your daily chest, even if you don't use any cards for your focus. But when you use cards that are in the focus, you earn more points. So basically, I think most bots early on will just be focusing, changing their things to go ahead and use the focus if they get a team focus, and if not, just try to win as most matches as they can. That still does change the rental system. It won't be quite as easy to rent just one team, so maybe this could lead us to see some prices in rentals go up, or some bots just not earning quite as much because they're not able to adjust to all of these new focuses. I think most real players like the fact that the bots will have to rent more or get more complicated, or just in general have a lot more work done to them to keep them running at such a high level of earnings, and that is probably a good thing. Now, when we go ahead and look here, they did also add one more thing that would hurt the bots, and that's that the focus splinter will no longer be guaranteed to be active. So when the bots do get their favorite kind of focuses, say a life focus or an earth focus, and they just want to rent that one team and go ahead and play it every single match, well, now that sometimes that team won't be available. So they might get a couple matches where they don't get to earn any points, and that means, I don't know how often that will happen to them, but it will mean in general at least probably a little less rewards for those type of accounts, because when they try to go ahead and switch to another team, they might not have rented any cards, and when you use all those ghost cards down there in bronze, you won't earn any points. Let's remember that. They're changing the minimum rental card time. Now, this one is kind of mixed in to go ahead and do a mixture of the the exploit preventation and kind of the delegating cards to extra accounts. It's meant to kind of slow that down and make it not as profitable, make it harder for people to delegate cards from one account to another account and another account. This is really meant to battle back a little bit about the idea of having an account, delegating cards to it, and burning its ECR down to like nothing, then delegating the cards to another account, waiting one day, grinding its ECR down to nothing, delegating your cards to another account. And, once you have enough accounts, you can just do a circle of that. Well, now that circle got twice as long because there's an additional day of waiting before the cards can be used. Is that enough to make that not something people will be doing, or does it slow that down enough to make it to where it's not as good as just maybe playing those cards regularly on an account. Time will tell, and they will adjust this if they need to. It could get longer. Now, some players don't like this. I can understand if you're a normal player, you might not like this because you're like, I only want to rent that legendary card to use on my focus for 1 day. Well, now you're going to have to rent it for 2 days. I know that might be a little bit of a bummer, but they used to have 7-day rentals periods and delegation times to make sure that cards couldn't be exploited across accounts. So if we get stuck with 2 days to kind of stop an exploit that was kind of letting people earn a lot more extra rewards, I think most of us will just be willing to deal with that. There is another change they're talking about at the end, though, that is going to help you if you're somebody that's renting cards, possibly. But you'll have to tell me what you think about it if you're somebody who's renting cards to play the game. So they did say, though, after the 2 days pass, let's say you rent something for 7 days, it could still be canceled on you because it's only guaranteed for those first 2 days. So just know that, or you could cancel it if you no longer need the card. Now, merits are being added to chest rewards. This is part of preparing for a change that they talk about at the end with SPS and DEC. But basically, they want to kind of incentivize being in a guild even more than it is today. And the merits are used to buy the packs that have the gladiator cards. And then the gladiator cards are going to be starting to get featured in tournaments pretty soon with what they're calling brawl tournaments, or tournaments that enable the gladiator cards. And so that means the gladiator cards, I'm sorry. That means that they're hoping that more players will want to get into guilds. Guilds are a lot cheaper than they used to be when it comes to the prices of DEC, and they'll want to go ahead and level up those guilds to the point to where they'll be able to actually earn merits in the brawls, earn merits for regularly playing, get those gladiator cards to do even better in brawls, get those gladiator cards possibly for boss fights in the future, and for the tournaments that will allow you to use them. Because if you want to get into a tournament where you're guaranteed to beat somebody who doesn't have them, it would be a gladiator card tournament, because if you don't have the right ones, you're just not going to have a chance. So that's basically what this is, and it's a way to build, guilds are one of the best syncs for DEC, and they do need to incentivize people to use that sync, though there are other syncs coming, we found out in the town hall. We are going to get higher potion quantities in the higher tier rewards chest. A lot of the higher, players were like, hey, you multiplied my DEC, you gave me a better chance to get golds and to get legendaries and stuff like that. That's all really great, but I still sometimes open one single potion, and now we're not going to open one single potion. This should help out a lot in trying to drive a little bit more of a feeling of more rewards for playing at those higher levels. I don't know if this is a big enough change. I still feel like they've under-delivered in a Diamond and Champion chest, and being able to really show that you should be playing in Diamond and Champion chest. I can show you my rewards on a daily basis up in Diamond and Champion, and they just don't merit me really spending all that extra money to get those cards. In my opinion, I still feel that way. I'll let the team know that when I talk to them if I do, and it's just I wouldn't necessarily do it again and level up cards to max if it wasn't for the fact that I just love this game, love playing it, and I have the income to go ahead and do that. So the major changes are listed here in the future changes. It's not the season rentals. Season rentals are coming. This is the thing I mentioned. If you're somebody that rents cards to play and you want to be able to maybe rent cards for the entire season, we'll have to see how this works out. I'd have to imagine if somebody was going to let you rent it for the entire season, they might be able to take a small haircut on the price of the card, but to give up being able to raise the price of the card on the last few days to those major prices, I don't know how popular this will be for people who rent cards out, but we'll have to see. If you're able to rent a card you really like for an entire season, like a summoner, it makes sense to go ahead and do that. So we'll have to see how this works once it's in place. This is a future change, though, so this is not going live on the 18th. Now let's go ahead and get into the big announcement in this, and they talked about it in the town hall a little bit more, gave us an idea of the vision, and that's that they're replacing DEC with SPS when it comes to the battle rewards. That means that once this changes live, and they talked about this going live at the end of July, or the end of August, the end of like in August at some time, possibly September when Matt was pushed a little bit harder on it. We'll have to see what they can actually deliver this change. But basically, the idea is they're no longer going to have people earning DEC for playing the game. No longer coming out in chests. No more coming out in leaderboards. No more reward for each battle. That's all going to change to SPS. I don't know yet if that's going to be more or less SPS, because they do say that it's going to be 7.5 million SPS per month that we're allowed to earn. That would be across 2 seasons that you'd be able to earn that much tokens, but it is now going to be the SPS governance token that we're earning. So even if it's a smaller amount, I hope players are still excited about this. And now I'm going to get into why you should be excited about this. So once DEC cannot be earned from playing the game, the only realistic way for sure to get it is to burn cards. Now, merits can buy packs of gladiator cards that people who aren't necessarily competing in brawls and stuff can burn for DEC, and arbitrage bots can burn cards for DEC if DEC is worth enough compared to how much cards are being sold for them. But with current value of DEC, that's not really, there's not any arbitrage bots doing that kind of thing. And really the only thing we're waiting for right now is for people who want to buy packs to be buying DEC, to be getting almost a 50% discount on packs right now. But there isn't quite enough demand compared to how much DEC is coming into the marketplace. At the same time, a lot of us were getting a little bit worried they were going to introduce Modern and Wild and double the amount of DEC. Nope, not going to happen. Instead, DEC cannot be earned anymore in the game. Why would they be doing that? Because they're going to introduce the ability to burn $1 worth of SPS to get 1,000 DEC. No one's going to do that right now because 1,000 DEC is only worth about 60 cents. But with DEC not being earned anymore, them trying to put merits out into the game so we all get them, to try to incentivize more people to get into guilds, more people to spend DEC to level up guilds, and the idea that once land is out, there will be at least some kind of buildings on some of the land that will require a DEC to level them up. We are going to have all of these DEC sinks within the game, and there's a ton of DEC out there in the ecosystem right now. But as that gets unwound, as that gets dumped into the marketplace and then gets bought up by those of us with land plots that want to upgrade those buildings, with guilds that want to upgrade their buildings, by people who want to go ahead and start up new guilds, well, let's face it, the DEC is going to be just eventually all burned up, all sent into those sinks and all gone. And then once it's all the cheap ones gone, it's going to get up to be worth being worth that $1,000 to $1, and then it's going to go up to being worth $1,010, $20, $30, right? No, because they're going to have it drive value into the SPS token. You're going to have a situation where now every time DEC starts to go above $1,000 to $1, people will burn SPS off of the marketplace to go ahead and fix that arbitrage opportunity. This is exactly how the Luna token blew up and went crazy. People wanted UST to put into the whatever Anchor protocol to earn that 20%. There wasn't enough on the marketplace, so they had to buy Luna and burn it to get the UST, and buy and burn, and Luna blew up. SPS will now have a similar ecosystem as where it'll have buy and burn to get DEC, but as opposed to that stable coin going into something to earn 20%, it'll be going off into land so that we can produce more resources at each one of them. It'll go into guilds so they can get to higher levels, so they can earn more merits and take place in earning more SPS rewards for playing the game. It'll be sunk into the game into various different sinks that they might introduce in the future, and that will drive value to SPS tokens. Right now, if you wanted to burn $1 worth of SPS, you'd be burning quite a few tokens. But in the near future, if that continues to happen, maybe SPS becomes worth $1 again, and then one SPS gets burned to get 1,000 tokens. And then over time, it becomes $2 and half an SPS gets burned to get 1,000 tokens. That's the kind of future they're envisioning, where SPS will just continually to be bought and burned and turned into DEC. How do they make the SPS token someday rise to a token that is worth just a very high number because of how much of it has been burned? It is make sure that the game has sinks that are popular with the players. Their first major change to this is to give you merits to try to incentivize you getting into guilds. An upcoming change, and we're all waiting for land to come because it is going to just change so much in this game, but would be buildings on your land that you need to upgrade. There can be new guild buildings introduced, like if they're going to introduce boss battles, and they're going to earn these boss battles where you could go and earn some big reward for beating the bosses. And you at level 1, you can fight the level 1 boss, and level 2 the level 2 boss, level 3 the level 3 boss, level 4, and each time you want to level it up, you got to put some DEC into the building. They can keep adding things into the game that'll burn DEC, and if it is no longer issued to us from playing it, and the only way you can get it is by exchanging $1 worth of SPS for 1,000 DEC, then we will have a forever burn mechanism for the SPS token. That is absolutely wild and crazy. Matt let that out on the town hall today. I'm not sure he articulated it the right way. Basically, if the game can grow, and it can get to the place where there's more guild buildings that need to be upgraded, to where there's more land that needs to be upgraded, where we can get through all the current DEC that is out in the marketplace, then we will get to a place where SPS, in theory, has a never-ending buy and burn mechanism built into it, but not by the Splinterlands, right? They're not doing it. It will be players or arbitrageurs that come in and see that they can go ahead and make that profit on these two tokens. So that's where I'm going to leave this, guys. I wanted to get through this relatively quick, so hopefully you're excited about this. It is a major change. Thanks. Bye.